Let's talk about something nobody's really ready to face. Beyonce and Jay-Z's relationship with Diddy. Not the glamorous, filtered version sold to us over the years, but the unfiltered, raw reality that's starting to leak through the cracks. We've all seen the headlines, but what if I told you the truth is darker than anyone imagined, and that the Carter Empire is scrambling behind the scenes to keep it buried? Here's what kicked it all off. A man named Joseph Manzaro filed a lawsuit against Diddy, detailing some of the most disturbing allegations to ever come out of the entertainment industry. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal. This complaint described drugging, forced humiliation, and a twisted party circuit filled with high-profile guests. And not just any guests. Beyonce and Jay-Z were named not as defendants, but as witnesses, present in the room, watching it all go down. And according to the complaint, Beyonce didn't scream, she didn't leave, she didn't even look shocked. She reportedly turned to someone and said, "What's this all about? Why is this half-naked white man with a mask standing here in front of me?" Like it was just another Tuesday. That's not just silence, that's normalization. Now pause for a second. Imagine if any regular person saw something like that at a party. You'd run, right? Call the cops? At least get out and speak up later. But when you're in the elite circle, it seems like the rules are different. These aren't parties, they're power plays. And when someone like Beyonce is sitting front row at something so horrific, you've got to ask yourself, what else has she seen? But here's where it gets even sketchier. After this lawsuit became public and people started noticing Beyonce and Jay-Z's names, they were magically scrubbed from the next version of the complaint. No explanation, no comment from Manzaro, just gone, like it never happened. Now, if someone falsely named you in something so serious, wouldn't your instinct be to sue for defamation? To stand up and scream your innocence? Jay-Z did it before when someone accused him of assault at a VMA afterparty. He went straight to court and filed a defamation suit, so why not now? Well, their legal team did respond. They rushed forward with proof that the Carters weren't even in Florida when the alleged party took place. Jay-Z was reportedly giving a speech at NYU. Then they were vacationing in Hawaii. Photos popped up in old tabloids. Perfect timing, right? But let's be real, if there's one thing celebrities and their PR machines know how to do, it's manufacture alibis. You don't think Beyonce's team could plant a photo in the Daily Mail if they wanted to? So here's the real question. If Manzaro made it all up, why would he name two of the most legally protected, image-obsessed celebrities alive? What's the benefit? What does he gain by dragging them into something this ugly? And if he was lying, why haven't they gone after him in court? Instead, we're getting silence. Beyonce, who's never afraid to speak out about injustice, feminism, racial equality, social issues, suddenly has nothing to say. Not one word about her longtime friend Diddy, who's facing multiple lawsuits filled with accusations of rape, trafficking, and abuse. A man she collaborated with, partied with, embraced in public. Nell, not even a whisper. But it's not just about what Beyonce saw, it's about the system she's a part of. The same system that protects predators and silences victims. And now that Diddy's empire is crumbling, the people closest to him are pretending they were never there. It's easy to pretend this is just tabloid noise, that it's all too wild to be real. But here's the part that's even more disturbing. None of this came out of nowhere. Beyonce's relationship with Diddy didn't begin at some random freak-off party. It goes back decades. They weren't just business acquaintances. They were collaborators, confidants, and part of the same elite circle. Back in 2003, Beyonce dropped a song called Summertime featuring Diddy. Harmless on the surface, but that track wasn't just about music. It was the beginning of a long-standing association. Over the years, Beyonce was spotted at Diddy's white parties, mingling, laughing, cozy in photos that now feel haunting. These weren't quick handshakes or brief run-ins. These were celebrations, family-style hugs, and shared vacations. Let that sink in. For years, Beyonce was orbiting a man who is now accused of some of the most grotesque crimes imaginable, and not just by one person. Lawsuit after lawsuit has described a pattern of predatory behavior, trafficking, violent control, and and bizarre ritualistic abuse. Yet during all that time, she never once distanced herself publicly, never issued a vague statement, never hinted at concern. In fact, the more Diddy's name got dragged through the mud, the quieter the Carters became, and now they're not just silent, they're vanishing, canceling appearances, dodging cameras, leaning entirely on legal teams to do the talking. Beyonce, who famously curates every piece of her public image, has completely disappeared from her usual polished PR machine, and that silence is deafening. Meanwhile, Diddy's freak-off parties, a term that now lives in infamy, have been referenced in multiple lawsuits describing scenes that sound like something out of a psychological horror film. Drugged guests, masked figures, degrading ritual, victims paraded through rooms like props, and these aren't anonymous back alley rapes, these are celebrity-filled, catered events with security, staff, and superstar guests. So if Beyonce was present and saw even a fraction of what's been described, what does that say about her? The core of the issue isn't whether she physically harmed anyone, it's about complicity. It's about witnessing something sickening and choosing to look the other way. Choosing your career, your access, your status over basic decency. Choosing to be part of the machine instead of standing against it. But maybe the worst part of all this is how easy it is for someone like Beyonce to get erased from the narrative. The amended lawsuit didn't just drop her name, it kept everyone else. LeBron James is still listed, Jacob the jeweler is still in there, but Beyonce and Jay-Z, gone. Just like that, according to page 6, their legal team supposedly proved they weren't in Florida at the time, using vacation photos, press reports, university schedules. Convenient. And yet, something doesn't add up. The complaint quoted Beyonce directly. It placed her in a room, made her speak, not some vague implication, a full-blown quote. That's not something you imagine lightly. So how does a witness go from quoted in the filing to suddenly irrelevant? Was there pressure, payout, a threat of countersuit, or maybe something deeper? A reminder that no matter how loud the accusations are, power can still buy silence. This isn't about one lawsuit. It's about a culture of elite protection, where billionaires live above the rules, and victims are told to be quiet or be crushed. And every time someone like Beyonce vanishes from the spotlight instead of stepping into it, that system wins again. The machine behind these stars isn't just PR teams or celebrity lawyers, it's an entire infrastructure built to protect power at all costs. It scrubs timelines, manufactures alibis, buries lawsuits, and intimidates anyone who dares to speak out. And that's exactly what's happening right now. While the media gives Beyonce the benefit of the doubt, victims are being asked to prove the impossible. To produce footage, receipts, timestamps, while billionaires erase their footprints with the swipe of a card. Look closely at how this is playing out. Every time Beyonce's name gets linked to Diddy's mess, it vanishes just as fast. Her fans say it's because she's innocent. Her defenders say she was never there. But if that's true, then why the panic behind the scenes? Why the sudden cancellations? Why the tight lockdown on her public appearances? According to reports, she's holed up in LA with her mother and closest friends, skipping scheduled promo events and laying low. That doesn't sound like someone casually distancing themselves from a false rumor. That sounds like someone preparing for a storm. JayZ isn't handling it well either. Sources close to him say he's furious, not because he's being wrongfully accused, but because he's being dragged. That's the key difference. If you're truly innocent, your instinct is to clarify, to clear your name, to tell the truth. But if you're just mad you got caught in the crossfire, that's not about justice, that's ego. And what's wild is how easily the public buys the polished version. The idea that two of the most powerful celebrities in the world, who have spent decades in the same rooms as Diddy, photographed at his events, collaborating with him on projects, had absolutely no idea what was going on. That they never saw anything, never heard anything, just innocent guests at a party that happened to involve masked men, humiliation, and whispered threats. It's ridiculous, but power works like that. It makes people forget logic. Beyonce built her brand on empowerment, on image control, on being the woman who speaks truth to power. But in this case, she is the power, and that's why her silence is so loud. When it was convenient, she stood for victims. She made documentaries, dropped songs about injustice, showed up in protest art. But now, when it really matters, when she's being asked to address her own role in protecting predators, she disappears. People keep asking, why would the victim name her if it wasn't true? Why risk the wrath of the most protected woman in the music industry? Why quote her directly if it was just a bluff? The answer is simple. Maybe he isn't lying. Maybe the reason Beyonce's name was dropped from the complaint isn't because she was innocent, but because the consequences of keeping her in were too big. Because fighting a lawsuit is one thing, but fighting a billionaire with an army of lawyers is suicide. That's the real horror here. The truth can be erased, rewritten, and repackaged depending on how rich and famous you are. Victims don't stand a chance when celebrities hold more sway than the legal system. And the more we worship these stars without asking questions, the more we enable this cycle. The Beyonce you see on magazine covers isn't the full story. The woman behind the glitter and Grammys might be someone who saw things, ignored them, and walked away. And if that's the case, then we need to stop calling it silence. It's complicity. And no amount of choreography or charity concerts can cover that up. Not anymore.